you guys are running like so it's the Hog Sig. You're running a spam comp.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to be looking to play for a long game here. Um, out of curiosity, why are you sitting up so far?
We were kind of talking about that. Like, ultimately, it was do we either play high ground, do we play low ground? And I think like as we're learning the Hog Sigma gameplay, we kind of wanted to take like crossfire angles, so we were just playing around bunker.
I see. This is not working.
What would you suggest instead?
What I would say. So I was trying to get my little here to work, but it's working here, but it's not working on my pen. I don't know why. Makes me sad. But anyways, what I would suggest is clear this up. Go to here. You always want to be holding on high ground when you're running like a spam comp like this.
Okay.
So putting like the sig. I don't know why my pen isn't working right now, but putting the sig up here so we can give a shield for our Kree is going to be really good, and then put hog on this opposing side. Because this is a really dangerous spot for Ash and Mercy to be sitting. With the comp that you guys have, it's fine to
Okay.
start here, but I would recommend rotating. Now, personally, I would actually put the Kree over here with the hog, and then I'd put the Mercy and Ash and Sig over here. Because that way, if they're coming down this hallway here, Kree and Hog are able to spam down, and it's a much closer quarters situation here, so Kree's going to be able to get more value out of Flash.
Are you having
And
Korean Hug play Mega or up on the high ground?
up on the high ground, sorry.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
on like this area here. Yeah, so like Kree and Hog. Because they're able to control this mega space down here, but also be on high ground. And that way you get your cross angle set in here, and then the Ash Mercy over here. Um,
Does it
and the
still make
reason,
sense to
oh,
play Hog if you put him on the high ground? Because it's not really like his effective range.
well, yes and no. So Hog's effective range, I think we've talked about this before, is you play Hog for his hook potential, right? The pick
Right.
potential. So if you think about it, right, he can hook to about here, right, from where he is right now.
Right.
So if you put Hog here, his hook
Point.
range
Okay.
is right about here, so it's on point. But also for this hallway right here, because if Hog steps into this doorway, now this is in has potential of getting hooked. Now, just for an example, right?
Right.
But because of that, it denies this like hallway, so it allows Kree to be able to spam on point, and Kree can also spam down this hall. And it's like if the entire team tries to rotate, then you have Ash over here who does better at longer range, and she can fire into these windows, throw dynamite into these windows, and then you have a Hog over here who has hook threat as well, and there's
Okay.
natural cover for him to play.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, and if they try and go down like this onto point, then Hog has hook potential from here, or he can even rotate down to the Mega Room and hook from there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and so it allows your Kree. I would probably swap the Kree out for a soldier personally.
Hmm.
You could do a soldier, or you could do like a widow. Um, just because like soldier is able to help the hog a lot more, because that way they don't need any real kind of support over here, right? Because then hog has his vape and soldier has his heal.
Yeah.
Um,
That
but
makes sense.
yeah, but that's just a side thing. If you guys want to run the Kree, you can. It's just a little bit shorter range. But yeah, so I would put them two like over here.
Do you like
Um,
Zen's positioning here? Assuming the
oh
Hog is playing high ground and the Sigma is also playing high ground with the Ash, where would you put the
yeah.
Zen?
I would say we could put the Zen over here, or we could put him over here, because the whole idea of this like spam comp is you take up both like alleys, and then
Right.
you just crossfire. So you kind of play split, right? You can play like a 4-2 or a 3-3, right? So like if you have the soldier, Zen, and Hog over here, or again a soldier or a Kree, Zen with Discord orbs allows Hog that one shot potential, because you know how they try to change him around to make it less reliable. Well, with the
Yeah.
Zen Discord, it is equally as reliable as it was before, especially with just a little bit of damage follow up from Soldier or a Kree. And so all of these characters do really well, especially in like a straight line here, because if
Yeah.
anybody's coming down, because this doorway right here has straight LOS. So if there's a hog that's playing here, and you guys hear they're going left side, then hog goes like this, and it's free hooks here. It's free, Zen orbs. It's free, soldier rockets or Kree shots. And so, they're trying to push down this alley, but they're taking side shots from Ash and they're taking all this frontal damage as well. And even if they do manage to push in and then they drop down like that, well, then you guys just wrap around. But yeah, so I would put like the Hog Zen Soldier or Hog Zen Kree here. Put the Sig Ash Mercy over here. That way, you guys are able to you're able to control both lanes because what they would have to do is they can't push that way. They can't push here. They can't push here. The only option they have is to go around through like this and around. But when they do that, then that's when you guys that are sitting over here, you just rotate back and around bridge. They're gonna drop down to point, then you guys wrap back to where you are. Just so I can move the camera around so you can see
Yeah.
this. So when they push up and they come through here, you guys who are stationed here, as that they're making that rotation, you're rotating this way because now you guys have cross angles again. Going on that other
Right.
platform where you are, and then you're able to spam them out here when they drop to point. Here I will go ahead and do this. When they drop to point, you guys are now able to wrap back around to take this spot again. And one of the other things you would do is you could send your hog down to point to contest it because
Yeah.
he can live down there on his own. Um, and if you really need to, you could send your hog and your sig down, and then you keep the rest up on high ground for that spam. But yeah, that's what I would recommend because having your Ash here, it seems like it'd be a good position, and it's not bad to start there, just for like some really early poke. But if you're sitting here, say like it's like a tourney setting, right, and then they have a Hanzo who goes like this and just headshots you, and then
Right.
Mercy res you, and then he goes and headshots you again, or they have a Widow who headshots you, and then she grapples up and headshots the Widow as she's like resing you. Just because you're not able to get any like tank support from here, and it's always safer to be able to play behind some type of tank, whether it's like a barrier or even just like a hog body. Um, and here, your angles are limited, and you do have that high ground potential. But even if you're sitting like back here and crouching, then you're still able to take damage. So you have to play here, but playing behind a single box makes it really easy to target you down because it's so easy to like get a minor side angle like here, and then they can hit you, and then you rotate this way, and then you have somebody who's here who shoots you.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea. Like, but then in actuality, it always feels bad when you're like hiding there and you're just taking the damage and just it's like, well, I guess I die. But also, that's also why you guys typically want to sit further back to prevent playing in this choke area because now the majority of their team is playing cover, and so you guys aren't able to do anything. So it's solely on your tank line to actually do just about everything they can do right now. Because this is like a bottleneck, right? So like the map opens up and then it bottlenecks like that, opens and bottlenecks like that, and so if you look at it, all of this is outside your LOS as like your DPS line. Um, and so really your DPS line can only help you guys right here,
Right.
but
Yeah.
what your tanks are doing, you guys are taking the fight. You're fighting right here, but your DPS that they're not able to really help with that. They're only able to get this little piece of like overlap. But if you guys were to back up, all right, the enemies are naturally going to come through here, and then they're going to again bottleneck themselves. Because there's a bottleneck right here. There's this bottleneck right here. There's this bottleneck here because it's just like a hallway, right? So that allows you guys to still play within your LOS of one another, and you guys have full view, but the enemies have to come through this choke point. And there's like that. So the Widow missed the shot, but that's what I'm talking about. About that
Yeah.
grapple, and you don't really have that cover. But if you were playing back here with a Sig shield, she grapples up. Now there's no way that you die. Your Ash totally just like dunks on their Widow here, which is good. But a better Widow isn't going to miss those shots. I think I remember showing. I think it was you who I showed like Blizz
Blizzard
World.
World?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. How crazy the fucking widows are the higher up you get, and like if they see you, they're gonna hit you.
right.
And I only mention this because these are some of the mistakes that it's harder to notice them. Being at a lower level, and I don't want to say lower level in a demeaning type of way. When I say lower, I mean anything that's like GM or below, right? Like 4K or below. So when I say lower level, I'm not meaning it in like a demeaning way. It's simply that players are going to be less consistent, and so something that would maybe get punished at the highest level might not be punished here.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you can't improve your play to even avoid people just getting lucky, right? Because that's also a thing sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the widow might miss every single shot, but if she hits the one grapple that takes down your mercy during her valk, then that could win them the fight. And it's not because she can do that every time, but she
Right.
only needs to get lucky once. But by improving your SS play, then making those lucky shots are much harder. Um, But yeah, so one of the issues that you guys have is you're kind of cornering yourselves here. And one of the big things about this is that we need these cross angles wherever you get the cross angles from. It doesn't really matter. But you need two angles with this type of spam comp.
Right.
And like they just sent the soldier to high ground, so if we still had the Sig, Ash, and Mercy up here, like that soldier can't live up here on his own, so he ends up dying. I'm gonna use purple, not because this reddish color. I don't even know what color. Maroon. I'm gonna use this just because it's easiest to see here, but it doesn't mean I'm talking about the enemies. But yeah, you guys, you just give up your angles because you're playing here, and then your Kree is here, but he can't wrap around by himself. So now
Right.
he's playing here, and so realistically, you guys are still playing the same angle because someone taking cover here has cover from both of you guys, right? But if you had somebody like up here, for example, right? So if your Ash takes up here, and then your Kree plays where he is, right? So now you have Ash here playing this angle, and then you have your Kree here playing this angle. That makes it a little bit different because Ash can force these guys back to here, and that way Kree can kind of push up and take a different spot, for example.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, but yeah, so it's really important to maintain those angles on this comp. That's a good stick stuff. Unlucky. I feel like you guys are committing a lot of ults to a fight that's kind of lost, and you're holding on, but I still think that ultimately, yeah, you guys are gonna lose this point, and you don't have the ulticon to do a proper recontest. Well, maybe. Let's see what happens. I would just back out here. I'm gonna back that up real fast so we can take a look at some stuff.
One
Cool.
of
I like.
the big issues that happened that fight was that I called that Roadhog was going high ground,
Mhm,
and he was going for our Ash. Our Zen was playing Mega, and he picks the Zen
mhm.
because I wasn't prepared for him to drop. Literally, I like turned around, looked at point, and when I turned back, he killed our Zen. I was like, dang it.
Oh
So that
man.
was like their opening pick, and I think a lot of things went wrong after that. Our
Mhm.
positioning, like we rotated to what is that? The like middle bunker thing.
Oh,
So
like this area here.
yeah.
I call this closet, um, or like cubby.
Mm,
That's
makes
just like
sense.
a general call out for any place that's like kind of shallow and closed off, right?
Yeah.
So like another cubby or closet would be like if you think of like Numbani first point, there's that little area that has like the two doors in it, and it's just
Hmm.
the U shape. It turns into the attacker's second point spawn.
Right.
That would be like another like closet area, or going
Same with
just
like the
past
one
that.
with the mega.
Yeah, exactly. That would be like another closet. Yeah, exactly. So that's always like the idea. So that's just like a general call. You know how like people will call like the edge of map coast,
Yep.
as like a general call out. That's just like another general call out. It's like one on this map would be like right here. This would be like a cubby or
Hmm.
a closet. Same thing with like this one over here because it's like a shallow room with only one real entrance or one direction. This isn't one because it's like a transition piece. You can go either which way.
Yeah.
Like if that door wasn't there, then I would be like, yeah, it's another like closet. Or like
Makes
this would be a
sense.
closet right here. Like that would be like mini closet by choke, mini closet back a point, or by spawn. Spawn closet. Whatever college you guys want, but that's just like a general one. But but yeah. Also another thing too about playing further back is this is a long ranged comp, right? And so by the time the enemies get to this point, they should be low on resources. And you see both of their tanks are low, but they're able to kind of sustain right here. They can stabilize because we don't have this angle.
Yeah.
We want to make this fight as long distance as possible, and just simply as long in terms of like time
Right.
as possible, because we want the time for us to whittle them down. Right, it's a slow and steady type of comp, and we can't really brawl them, right? Especially right now because we actually have the monkey now, right?
Yeah.
The monkey sig, we can't brawl them, right? Because they have this hog who's just gonna beat that brawl out. So we want to whittle them down and use their resources up. So by the time they actually get to the point to fight, they don't have anything to fight. And we also would need to take the soldier out. So if we have our monkey, we should send our monkey to secure that high ground.
Right.
Um, and yeah, the hog is able to push into us because we can't fight him up close like that, and we just didn't do our due diligence of whittling him down before he got there. So he's able to kind of get away with it. So here we see our monkey kind of like pressuring this out. He's going for the mercy. The soldiers kind of split out. That I think this is a good play from our monkey, but I think we need to do our job of taking up that space and supporting him because he kind of gets caught out because he didn't have the help there. I
Yeah.
mean, he overcommitted a little bit. I think him jumping to contest high ground was fine, but then when they start backing out, I think he should just sit up here because then he can still tickle into this choke here, and he can maintain this high ground presence.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but like as a monkey, generally you don't really want to be going inside because that's where you can't really use much of anything, right? Because you can't use your mobility because you're inside. Your bubble's so easy to walk into because of how big it is
Right.
that like monkey being inside, it's always a feels bad. Like right here, we used flux, which I probably wouldn't have personally, but it is what it is. But
I
we we,
used it
we
because
used.
he had knocked me off the edge.
Oh, I see. Honestly, I probably personally I would have just died there, just called the reset because we lose our Zen, who's our main like damage dealer, but we trade, so we're 1 for 1. But because Zen Discord Orb is what's really going to allow us to kill this hog. Outside of Zen Discord, we're not going to kill him.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah, just because
Yeah, that
this
makes
is
sense.
it's sustained damage. We don't have any burst, right? And
Right.
Hog is gonna do really well sustained because you're gonna take forever to whittle him down, then he's gonna heal back up, then forever to whittle him down, he's gonna heal back up. So you
Makes
need
sense.
burst damage, and that's what that Zen allows because he turns your sustained damage into burst damage. Because that way, like if McCree shoots him for this much every time, right, and then you put a Discord on, and now it's like that, that it's now burst. So you need that Zen Discord to realistically be able to reliably take down that hog. Now that doesn't mean that we lose our Zen, so we lose this fight. It means we lose our Zen, so we need to like stabilize, right? So this is when you guys would look to kind of back out, regroup. Because if you look, right, so we're down one. We have low health, low health, low health,
Yeah.
and we only have one healer, right? And one of the things about this comp is it's high damage, but low heals.
Yeah.
And so because of that, we should be looking to stabilize because we're down half of our healing output and a good portion of our damage, and we don't have the resources to continue this fight. So this is when I would say, like back out, stabilize, soft reset. Give 2 ticks. That's a very common term. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that or
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but oftentimes people say give 2 ticks. So you give this tick, you give this tick, and then you recontest at that. So people say like back out, stabilize, soft reset, give 2 ticks, and then you guys recontest on this third part right here. It allows you guys to kind of back out, heal up, and also on top of that, that way your Ash and Kree can come out here, and then maybe your Ash rotates down this way, or your Kree rotates down that way. So that way you're able to get some type of cross angle set up. Um, things like that, you're able to come back into a better looking fight.
Yeah, that
And
makes
if you
sense.
guys if you lose more than this, then I would just call it there because you don't really have the resources. So like right here, they're using ults. We're down two. We're down our half of our damage, half of our heals, and you being knocked off the map. I probably would just fallen off the map, call a reset, or try to recontest. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
we
with
we can.
Winston dying 100%, but I didn't
Yeah,
realize the McCree had died either, so
I
that's
see.
my bad.
That's fair. And I mean, like it's a very small thing. And I'm not trying to nitpick, but I know that you guys are getting much better. So it's no longer like a huge mistakes. It's just minor mistakes like that
Yeah,
that you guys are going to be running into of like using ults when you shouldn't have, or not using ults when you should have.
I think it
Small
really
positioning
just
thing.
compounds from us starting on low ground, because
Yeah, no, I would agree.
start of
As you
this
guys,
fight, it's the tanks, McCree on low
mhm.
ground, then the Zen in the hallway, and Ash up
Yeah,
top with Mercy.
exactly. Because you guys are holding so close
Yeah,
that the distance between them and you is so short that this is when you want to do the damages in like this
right,
space here.
right.
So if you guys sit, back here like this, and then they're coming through choke here, you have all this space now to do what you need to do. Um, and so you want to be holding further back.
So
And
does
what's up?
McCree where that yeah, where our Ash is currently, if McCree
Hmm.
was standing there at the start of the fight, when they're walking through choke, does he still have angles on them?
No, but he can start right here,
Okay. He
and that
just
way he
kind
can
of
spam
risks like
because
a
then.
speed boost onto him if they're running like a brawl comp, I guess.
Well, that's just it. So if you put the Kree, the Hog, and the Zen right here,
Yeah,
all right, and then you have the Sig, Ash, Mercy. That's an A. Just believe me. There you go. Sig, Ash, Mercy, right? If the first thing they're gonna see is the Sig, Ash, and Mercy, right? Because you guys are here,
right,
right? If they start speeding this way, you know, uh, to put it in perspective, and I will do this in red and blue, right? Right. So they have to come like this all the way to here by the time you guys need to go from here.
right.
Um, and so Zen would probably be further back because he doesn't need to be constant peaking. Kree would be further
Yeah,
back because he doesn't need constant peaking. Hog would be like the one who's, if anybody, it'd really be Hog kind of standing like right here, and he would see that. And then the second they come up, he's backing up here. The first person to show their face gets hooked, or they have barriers up, in which case they're not able to move as fast. But like, if the Kree is sitting like here, right, like right in this doorway, and he's just popping and shooting and popping and
right.
shooting, and Zen is doing a similar thing, right? Zen kind of sits here, loads up 5 balls, throws them out, loads up 5 balls, throws them out. Um, they're able to see that because if they're rotating that way, then they can look to get some shots off. But the second that the enemy team starts to move this way or this way, basically like as long as they're in this center courtyard area, then this spot is fine. But the second they commit to any direction, whether it's that way, or this way, this rotation needs to happen. This is a very temporary spot. Almost see it more so like scouting than an actual
Yeah,
hold.
okay.
It's just here to get a little bit of volt charge, but really it's for scouting, right? So you're kind of looking, you're going, okay, they're going that way, and then you rotate. Do do
Because
do
it
do
seems
do.
like if the McCree were to start in this location where the Ash is currently, then
Mhm.
like they don't have the angles
Yeah, yeah, no,
for choke.
yeah, exactly. And that's why I typically say soldier, because then soldier can play here,
Hmm.
and then he's able to spam down this alley. This is a little far for Creed to get much done because of his fall off.
Yeah. Would
But
it make
soldier,
sense if we swapped the Kree for the soldier? Would
mhm.
you still have the Hog, soldier, and Zen play the same angles, or would you put the soldier here and have the Hog and the Zen take that scouting angle?
I would actually still probably put the Hog and Zen right here.
Yeah.
The only reason that we would take that forward scouting position is for Kree, so we can try to get him his noon.
Hmm.
If you had a soldier or a widow, I would just start them here.
Okay.
Yeah. Although actually, a soldier himself could probably start right here because he can
Yeah,
sprint back.
that makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, but the only reason I'm putting all three up there is because the Kree, because he's slow and he can't go anywhere really without anybody.
Okay.
Like soldier can play kind of by his own. Kree needs to have some type of partner. And so you put all three over just for this kind of scouting. Soldier could start up here, get some early damage and whatnot, and then just sprint back over. But yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So we
So yeah,
swapped to Winston Diva for second because Clones is not really comfortable with the hog, and I think like getting this positional advice is gonna help a lot.
okay.
So yeah, we kind of swap here, and I don't remember how well we do.
We'll take a look. But yeah, for first point, I'd say you probably should have saved your ults for a proper recontest. And if you're
Okay,
not able to use them, then save them for second, right?
okay.
Because
So
if you look at it, oh, what's up?
no, no, go ahead, continue. I'll ask
Okay,
after.
okay. I was gonna say, so I know you were on Sig, and so we had Flux, we have Noon, and we had Bob. All right, so let's
Yep.
say that we saved Olsen, so we have those three. They have Visor, they have Bob, they have Flux. So obviously Bob and Bob, Flux and Flux, and so we have a Noon, and they have Visor. Now, normally I would say Visor's probably a little bit stronger than Noon, um, but obviously it depends on the positioning, right? Because if you put
Right.
like a Kree, like here, and then he's nooning this way, then they can't push on to point, and
Right.
if you put the soldier here, then he's not able to get to the Kree before then. So you could use it as like to counteract it, right? Because they want to push with Visor, but they can't push with it if we're zoning with Noon. So
Right.
it gets value if we take away their value. So we're able to match their ult economy going into the second point. But we use these ults. So now we're not gonna have Bob before them. Um, we're still able to match the Noon for Visor, but now they're gonna have Flux, and we don't have anything to deal with it, and we don't even have a defensive ult to deal with it.
Right.
So we gave up our ult economy, and so there's a good to fair chance. And again, with the better team, they would come in with ults and then just roll through because they have the ult advantage. Um, right, like what I would be doing right now, right, is we'd be calling for Flux Visor, right? So we would send our soldier onto these rotating platforms, right?
Yeah.
But we'd get him into this room right here, so he would stand right here. While he's making that rotation, the Sig would kind of just walk up, scout out where they are. He would go up, float right around here, grab this back line, and then we get visored.
Hmm.
That's what we would do. Because just those two alone is going to take out your Ash
Yeah.
Mercy. Your Diva's too far to actually deal with it. Um, she would have to fly to the soldier, but while she's flying to the soldier, he would have already gotten his value. And on top of that, we have this hog, right? Because it's a hog sig. So hog is right here. So Diva starts to fly with DM and just gets hooked. Um, things like that. And so, like, we would just come in with ults and kind of go through you guys like that. But that's why it's important to, if you're not able to recontest first point, you need to save ults for second so you
Yeah.
don't get rolled. And you guys do well here, but that's because honestly they pushed before they were even ready. If you look at um, all right, so they engage the fight right here. But this hog is he's not playing within his Ash's LOS, which is something that I've talked about with you guys.
Right.
The soldier he has the LOS, but the Ash doesn't, and the Ash has the damage boost, so that's the more important one. The Sig doesn't have his shield up, so he's not helping at all. Right, the Sig he should be throwing his shield up in front of the hog or throw it this way too, whoever's taking that side angle. This Anna isn't in a good spot. She's playing low ground. She's not able to do much, especially since you guys have whoever that is. I think it's Monkey there. So Monkey dropping his bubble is also going to LOS this damage. This damage is being self LOS'd. So they start this fight when they're not in a good position for it. And you guys respond to it really well, right? So that is something that's also worth noting is you have this Ash on the side angle here. You have Monkey who will hopefully drop bubble to cut this LOS. So now they don't have this damage. They don't have this damage. August alone, right? Because the Ana can't heal him. The
Yeah.
Widow or the Mercy doesn't have. She probably has LOS to fly to him, but doing that is just going to get her killed by your Ana and your Ash. So you guys do a really good job of countering this push. But it's a mix of you guys playing it right and them playing it wrong. But it's good that you guys are able to punish them for it. So Monkey doesn't do what I thought he was going to do, but he still gets his value. Either which way, he instead goes for the Ash, and that still works out because he's still cutting off that angle of one of them, right?
Right.
Now this is dangerous territory. This is reminiscent of the first point, right?
Yeah,
Is you go like this, and there's a choke point here, like that. But you want them to come out of it, and that way you guys can be all spread out and fire wherever. But you guys are playing really close, and so you're shortening your own distance between you and the enemy. If you had your Ash on a high ground back here, and then like again, just say you had a soldier, right? But it even works with a Kree. Put him like over here to shoot this way, because then he can walk here, take a pad to get out. I would say a soldier because he can sprint out, so that way if the timing of the pads are kind of jank, you can still get out on your own.
right.
But Kree could also kind of do it, right? But you put your Ash Mercy and like uh, Diva, right? For example, right here, and then put your Monkey Kree over here, and that way Monkey's here just for the peel factor, because Monkey can totally get out, right? He walks this way, he can just jump and be out, or jump this way and be out. And then the Kree is able to set up an angle like that, because then you're again putting them in a weird spot. If you wanted to take a fight up here, I wouldn't recommend it,
Yeah,
but if you were going to, that'd be how you would want to go about it. So that way you're able to, again, we're getting these angles in. We're getting this angle. Can you say black? Okay, I'll do the red. You get this angle and you get this side angle. And there's you see how long these arrows are, because if they're here, you have all this space,
right.
and then if they're here, you have all this space. So you're still able to get your value in that way. And actually, you were kind of saying that for a second. You see how much pressure it puts on them. Did I go forward or backward? Speed this up just a little bit. You see your Kree kind of swing out wide right here.
Yeah,
You see, and so now this Ana, who was taking cover over here to take cover from you guys, is now taking shots from the Kree. And you see how Kree swings out wide, so Ana has nowhere to stand, right? If she stands here, she gets shot by Kree. If she stands over here, she gets shot by the Ash. Um, I don't know if you guys kill her or not. So she gets shielded out. But yeah, so I mean, there you can kind of see is they had to use a shield to save their Ana. So you're getting them to use their resources, meaning now they're taking shield damage. And if they're taking shield damage here, then you have all the space, and now there's this much time for you to break that shield and get through to it.
right.
And so you can even see like just how effective that is. There is look, you also just got their sig suck out. So now they're using their resources. They're low health. You got this pick. This is how this comp works. You play at a distance. You get their resources out before they can actually even fight you. And so that way they can't ever fight you because they're down on resources. See, now they have Sigurok. So now look, they're just standing here. They can't push because they don't have the resources. They don't have Suck. They don't have their Ana. This Ash isn't able to take up any angles. The Mercy's trying to heal her. They have to get shielded, right? You see, is they have to play passive. They have to play scared because you guys have these angles. And there you are. You're taking that side angle, cutting out their Ashes off angle. You probably could have stayed up there because she's alone and you can win that
Yeah,
fight. You can literally drop on her with DM and micro missiles, and she's either gonna die or she's gonna get support. If she dies, then she dies. If she gets support, then you just boost her out, and you're able to deny that push just like by yourself. Now, normally I would say that you would want somebody with you so you guys could confirm that type of kill and confirm that pressure. But again, if it's a one-on-one, you can win that as a diva. But yeah, and so you see they're trying to do the same thing here, right? They're trying to get these side angles. They have Ash over here. They have the rest going mains. They're looking for these angles. So it's your guys' job to hold these angles so they can't take it.
so if we were to backtrack, if
Mm-hmm.
you want to just pause it here for a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, yeah. Oh
Um,
god, and I'm gonna back up so there's no ticking on the point. Sorry, it's just annoying
uh,
when what's it? Tick, tick, tick. What's up?
what comp would you run on defense for point A and point B? Because
Um.
I think we are just defaulting to Winston Diva as a comfort pick when we're uncomfortable on the Sigma Hog. So what do you think would be a better composition to play. Like we could stick with the Sigma Hog, um, or we could do like uh, the Ball Diva, I guess.
Uh, Um, here's another comp we're looking at. So here you see that they're all up on this middle area, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you also see that they have that shield, and the only
Right.
person who's on low ground is the Orisa. And because that's what I was talking about earlier about like that's why I wouldn't play on middle because you don't have any like real cover, but they cover that by putting the Sig up there.
How
Um,
does Sig even get there?
if I had to guess, I don't actually know to be honest. He might have done like self damage with his rock to give him a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
of a
yeah.
boost. Or another thing is because they also have the Kree over there too, so they probably had like a Lucio speed them across onto it, and then Lucio goes back and switches to
Hmm.
the BAP, um, or the Brig. But one of the things you'll see, we're doing something a little cheeky here, but so here you can see we actually have our angles set up, right? So we have
Yeah.
this angle here, and we have our Widow in main. You see, because our Widow was on a sim who TP'd us across and then
Right.
went back swapped to Widow. And now look, all these barriers are facing this way.
The wrong
If
way.
you go exactly, if you go to our Widow's perspective,
Good old E-Girl 1. Very nice.
but yeah, see, like this is like just free damage, and by that angle, we force him into a corner. You see,
Yeah.
um, and so like this is almost like the reverse side of what happened to you guys, but this is obviously just like a little bit more organized. Um, but you can see like they're trying to maintain their angles because that's why their Torb is still up here, but everybody else is playing here. So we have our Widow over here, and everybody else is playing here. Just because this is a double shield comp, so that's why it's a little bit tighter because you're not really
Yeah.
holding two at the start because the other team is going to be able to deal with it. That's why typically at the higher levels you'll see like a 4-2 or like a 5-1 because if you have four people over here and they send three to deal with you, then the four people wins.
Right.
Or if you have four or five over here and they send one person to deal with you, then the five wins. So normally how it works is you actually at the higher levels you focus more energy on one side than the other, um, instead of going even split because that way you have a strong side and a weak side, which is something that we had talked about before. Remember?
Yeah.
And so this would be like the strong side, and this is the weak side. And so basically, what this weak side is still just looking for this value, looking for the pick. Because now, if we get a pick, right? If they have two here and four here, um, well, actually, I'll go with actual numbers. They have 5 and 1. We have 5 and 1. We get a pick here. Now they have 4 and we have 5. So now the 5 can push onto the 4, right? So
Hmm.
that's kind of how we look to do that, like a little bit at the higher level. Um, But here you can see the SIG is pressuring out our angle. But with the SIG gone, now we're looking to push because now they don't have that extra barrier, right? And so we forced
Right.
Orisa because their Orisa just her barrier got deleted, so now they don't have any angle. So by trying to pressure ours, they used the wrong person to pressure it, and so we're able to kind of push off of that, right? But here again, you can see like they're still trying to take those off angles, but we're just able to deny them. So like this is the comp that we ran on attack, and you can see it's almost a mirror comp on defense, right?
Yeah.
Um, and if you go to second point, uh, it's a very similar thing, but I don't think we cap second. I think they hold it. I'm pretty sure they hold it. Let's take a look. Yeah, yeah. So they end up holding it, but one of the things you'll notice, right? If we kind of just let this play quickly, so watch how they respond, because if we're talking about like you guys on defense here, watch like their positioning and how they deal with this. Like look how far back they sit, right? And so they look for like a little bit of poke, but it's mainly just like scouting that they're doing, right? And so they scout that we're coming, across here. And if I actually slow this down a little bit, try to get a little bit of a better angle. All right. Oh, this is unlucky. Our main tank got pushed off the fucking platform. He did. This wasn't purposeful. Watch, like,
The orb? Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, he got fucking pushed off, and then I missed the first platform, so I was coming late. But because of that, I ended up just dropping and going with him in main. I think. Oh, maybe not. But again, like if you look how far back they're sitting, right? Is they keep a healthy berth of space between because the only person who's close is about to die, right? Um, And here you see, like they match ults a lot of time. A lot of time you'll see that is they
Yeah.
match ults, but you see how they hold back and they look to play further back so that way they can focus down before we can actually get to them. Especially because right now we have May Cree, so we're actually a much closer range comp, so we're trying to close that space, but they're just holding too far back for us to actually get there because neither team has Lucio. Um, and if you go over to the attacking half, yeah. I don't remember if we capped it or not. We might have. We might have capped an OT. But let's go ahead here. So here you see that they're running the same comp on attack, and we have the echo. But this is actually probably going to be really hard. There we go. So again, it's a similar thing. The echo should be looking to take like these off angles. You kind of see me trying to do here, but I was a little late on it. That's also kind of hard because they have the Torb too. But yeah, so these are some things that you guys can think about because right now we're seeing a lot of like changes in meta from like almost it seems like it's almost from fucking like week to week it's different
Yeah, I've
because
noticed that.
yeah, just because what's happening right now is nobody really knows what the meta is, so somebody finds one comp that works and then they run that until somebody else comes up with a comp that counters it, right? So like this comp it was popular for a while, but then people started running the Somber Reaper because Somber Reaper beats this comp because the Hog gets punished by the Reaper. Somber is able to deal with the Sig, right? Because Sig would normally protect the Hog, but he can't do that if he's hacked, right? So like the Somber Reaper beats this type of comp that they have. But then somebody else figured out, okay, well, so the Somber Reaper is a brawl comp, so let's go ahead and run, like a highly mobile comp to kite that brawl out, and that's where the Hurricane comp came from. The Hurricane comp is highly mobile, so how do you beat that? Well, you take away the mobility, and that's where you see like the fucking like the May come in, right? That's why now you're seeing like the May Cree, because May Cree, this ball can't swing through because then he gets walled, flashed, frozen, dies. Same thing with that Tracer. Tracer comes in, she gets flashed, headshot, dies. So you're able to take away that mobility from them. And so now that you're seeing that, now you're seeing like double barrier come out. So you're seeing the Orisa Sig again because you can't run that ball anymore because the ball is just getting countered by the main stuff. So now you're seeing the double barrier. So it's going to be a little while before a meta really settles again because somebody's going to come up with a comp. Another team is going to run a new comp to counter that one. So you're going to see things change around a lot in the next few weeks or so until something comes out that's much harder to counter, right? Or you'll see the rock paper scissors stuff come out too, where like this comp beats this comp but loses to this one. So then you'll have to learn how to play three, and then know when to switch between them. But we've already seen most of this. You wanted to talk about how to defend against this, right? For a second
Yeah,
point,
so I was kind of thinking like if we were to run uh Sig Hog,
mm-hmm.
then Ash Mercy, Zen, and then Soldier.
Okay.
I was kind of thinking about positions for this,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
uh,
would probably put the like Ash,
Mercy
Mercy,
Sig, and then
Sig up here.
The Zen
Um,
would kind of be on the bridge behind, maybe?
yeah, Zen would be like back there, like you said, like on that bridge, because he can also literally stand right here for pre-fight, and then just walk around, waddle his way around, um,
Right.
and then the soldier would just play with the Zen,
Okay.
um, and then yeah, you could put your hog here on low ground because he is self-sustaining, and it's a short journey for him to go back to point for support.
So what
Um,
would be the rotations for that setup? Right? Because like
so
on first point, if they pushed right side, we had set rotations, and if they pushed
yeah,
left side, we had set rotations.
yeah. Well, so effectively, these guys here, the Ash Mercy Sig, they're gonna rotate like this, right?
Okay.
Um, and so if you have your Zen and Soldier here for like pre-fight, because these guys are really just watching main, while these guys focus on the poke.
Right.
So these two would rotate to back here while this rotation is taking place from these other guys. Now, personally, the only
Oh,
one
they
who's
would go high
actually really,
ground?
yeah, they go high. Um,
Okay.
because then you have your hog on low.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
hadn't thought of that.
Uh, Yeah. Now, realistically, actually, the only one who actually needs to make this rotation is the Sig, because Ash can literally just coach
Right.
gun from here and land over here, and Mercy can just fly.
Right.
So it's really just the Sig that's doing this long ass rotation. But the reason for that is for that barrier, right? So you put the
Yeah.
barrier here, and that way Ash Sig Mercy again during this fight can rotate to here and barrier, rotate to here and barrier, right? Meanwhile, your hog is down here playing this corner or this corner, right? The hog is going to be the one who's touching point, and
Right.
the Sig can drop down at any time. But you just have to know that if Sig is dropping down, he's not going to have that barrier.
Right.
But yeah, so
So where
basically
where would
that
you put the soldier here? Would you keep him like
I
where
would
he
keep
could
the
drop
soldier.
towards the mini?
I would keep soldier with the Zen, so they would start here for pre-fight, and then they would rotate around to like right here
Okay.
on this high. Now one of the other things soldier could do, and I've done this before, is I actually play across from Zen, like this, and then during the rotation phase, I just rotate back like this, or if I need to, I can rocket jump myself over to here.
Hmm.
Um, Normally, I would just make this back rotation because I meet up with the Zen.
Yeah.
Um, but that is another option.
I kind of like that having the soldier on the right side. I think it's just a little bit better. I feel like he has better angles for
Mhm.
poke.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it also works out better with the hog. That's why I normally do it. If they have like, if they have something that could kill the soldier here, then I don't do it. So if they have like a widow or a
Okay.
Pharah or an echo,
I
then I
see.
play with the Zen. But if they don't have anything like that, like if it's like a mirror type of setup, or they have something like this, then yeah, I totally play here because then I can kind of play this pillar for cover, and I'm able to help support the hog.
That makes sense.
Um, yeah. Did you want to continue watching this defense? Did you want to watch your guys' attack, or did you want to go to the next map? What do you want?
Let's go next map. I'll just give a quick
Okay.
summary of the attack. I
Okay.
already said it earlier, but it was basically like we pushed left side, didn't get value for like 2 minutes,
Mhm.
and inevitably, like as some of us got picked, like we should have just gotten out, and then we pushed right side, and it was like a miracle. It just worked first time, but I think it was mostly because we finally had six, and we were able to make it work. So
Yeah. I'm gonna
yeah.
pause this real
Oh, this is
fast.
Oasis. This is the
Oh, yeah.
wrong
Yeah.
code.
I totally didn't even notice.
Let's see. Share. Do you have it up right now?
Um, I just have the two codes that you sent me. That was the It was the code that you had listed as Hollywood, but that was Oasis. If you have another code, you can send me.
There it is.
Sir. Let's see what we got. Okay.
So
Okay.
one of the
Okay.
issues we had with this um,
Hmm.
match in particular is that our end of the fights weren't called very well. And I think I noticed that in two separate circumstances,
Hmm.
and it really punished us on the third point.
Okay.
So first point we lose, then we
Okay.
end up using EMP, and then third point we didn't really get a good regroup, but we had our positioning like
Hmm.
70% there. So yeah, there was a good amount of stuff in this that I felt like we could talk about.
Okay. Who's normally calling fight overs, like end of fights, right now on your team?
Um, it's kind of a shared thing, but I want our Lucio to be doing it more.
Okay.
But I think this was his second time playing with us.
Okay. And his little blocker
It
is
is
that
not.
clone select?
It's a
Okay.
ringer,
Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure. Um.
but he knew the strategies. Like I mean, we explained to him on the fly, but
Okay. Okay.
he
I mean, and
he
it seems
played
like
pretty well.
he's yeah. It seems like he's doing fine. So that's all well and good. I'm gonna be real sad if I see Widow come like this and staring at Kame again, and he's like
Yeah.
looking back at him. But we'll see what happens. What I would like to see is I would like to see Jorge over here, um, stand right about here and just shoot the Widow in the head.
Yeah. Well,
The reason you stand here is
another issue
because
we had
everybody
is
inside.
EMP alt generation. If that's something you could go over.
Oh yeah, no, I can totally help with that. While we're going through these fights, feel free to speak up whenever while I'm letting them play, and I want you to try to let me know when the fight is over, okay? Just
Okay.
so I can kind of get a rough sense as when you think that like yeah this fight should be ended.
So do you want me to call like when we reset positions? Because I would say like right there. That's that's over.
That would be a good like reset.
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking more so just for
Okay.
like the end of a fight. So
Okay.
I would say like is a skirmish because
Right.
that's when like they're kind of poking and prodding, right? They're looking for an opening. They're trying to make an opening. And you guys did well to avoid it. So I would consider that's like just an like that's like pre-fight basically, right? Because the fight hasn't really broken out.
Right.
Um, Now, I do want to say that you guys actually did really well when one side was getting pushed, the other side pressured. So that was really
Oh,
really good.
interesting.
Yeah, because I mean that's basically the idea, right? So if they try to come this way, then you guys pinch that like that,
I
right?
see.
If they
Okay.
come this way, then you guys can pinch like this.
Okay.
So you're able to kind of like drive a wedge into it and cut it off like that. So that's normally like how that's done. And there's a really good example of that right here. So you get hooked in, but then you see here's where your Ryan. See now you're backing up, and your Ryan and Reaper are pushing in. You see, because
Yeah.
they went this way. So now we're kind of cutting them off, and that's what works really well. Now
Okay.
Reaper does go in really aggro here, but it's okay. He ends up getting out. He has Wraith, but aside from the minor over aggression, that was a really good example of one side gets pushed in, so the other side counters.
Okay.
So that's a really good example of that. And also, just as a side note, this is like an old-fashioned type of traditional way of running this. So obviously, with like modern things going on in the game, this can be beaten by other means.
Right.
But obviously, as you guys can tell, if you play it right and you play it properly, it still stands a chance. Especially, like at the range you guys are playing at, right? Because like a
Yeah.
GM team know how to deal with this, right? Um, they would go dive, they would take this high ground from you, they would try to pressure you on shit like that. But if you guys play it right, no matter even if they are countering it, it's not like it's an instant lose because you guys have your plans together.
Right.
It's really cool seeing that because like we had walked through this and talked about it and just seeing it like happen in game and seeing you guys be able to adapt to it and play. It's really kind of cool. And just like that, the Hanzo's trying to go through security and Reaper just shoves his head in and says no.
I think
Right?
he
It's
gets slept there too. Oh no, he got naded.
Um, yeah, but it's still like I don't know how it feels for you guys in game, but it's really cool seeing it because it's very clear that you guys have a plan together.
Yeah, I think like it feels nice up until a point until we get like there. Like now we
Mhm.
should be rotating back to point.
Yeah. Yeah, now you
And
guys should be looking to back up. And you are.
we do, but if it could have gone better.
Yeah, but I mean, like those are the minor misplay things because
Right,
like to simplify, it's as simple as, all right, well, you just can't get shot there.
right.
But obviously, there's other aspects going on. So if we were watching this from here, right? So your Ana should probably be a little bit on top of healing you. Once you use this bubble here, you should be looking to have your Ryan and Reaper play more aggro to cut this push off so you can live.
Yeah,
So this is when it comes down to like micro mistakes, right? And right there, when you kind of swing out wide, like you can tell, like the moment you swing out wide, it's because right here you're able to cut this angle, right? So
right.
you're able to have your team support, and the enemy team they have to put themselves into danger from your Rhine and Reaper in order to actually push on you. That's why these guys need to be a bit more aggro because if they're all facing you, then that's free damage coming from that way.
Right.
So that's why they need to be more on top of that. Um, but when you make your mistake is right here.
There. That jump. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because you don't want to be jumping because it makes a really easy,
Widow.
predictable path to
Yeah.
follow. Yeah. So try to replace jumping with crouching. It's safer. And it's quicker. Also, your Ana is rotating really far back, and I don't fully know why. She was playing here earlier, and I think this is a much better place to play.
Yeah.
And then because she can make this rotation here, or actually that's also why I normally put her on high ground is to
Right.
start on high ground because she can see you and she has this cover here, and then she can just drop down and then rotate back up. And then she drops down to here for a while, then she can face you, come back up like that. Um, but she has to do those rotations in between skirmishes, not during. So your Ana isn't able to heal you, so that's a little bit of micro mistake on her. Your Rhine Reaper should be playing more aggro since they're all facing you. So right now, once they see that shield come up, these guys should be looking, especially since he just got bubbled.
Right.
These guys should be looking to push in. Like Ryan can stand here and shield, and then Reaper can push up just for a second, right? Like Ryan can literally like walk up with this bubble, put the shield up, just sit for a second, and then back out. That's all he has to do is walk up, shield, back out. Reaper shooting it at the tanks, especially while Hog is antied, would be more than enough to keep them at bay. Um, Plus, if the Rhine is standing here shielding, there's a decent chance, right? If he's shielding this way, there's a decent chance he might actually even give you some cover. But
Yeah.
really, it's like from your perspective, because these are just micro mistakes. I could go on all day about micro mistakes, but they're very small things, right? But
Right.
just know, so it's not just you that causes you to die here. You made a mistake by swinging out wide without bubble. Your Rhine Reaper didn't push up. Your Ana's mid rotation, so there's multiple things, but that's why we go through these, right? Because before you guys didn't have a plan, you didn't have any type of rotations, nothing like that set up. Now that you guys have these, it's about making these refinements, right?
Right.
Making those small tweaks. But yeah, that is what kind of fucked you there. It's kind of swinging out wide like that without the resources. Your Ana was mid rotation, um, but you guys are rotating back now, so this is good. Now, this is when your Ana needs to drop. Okay, perfect. She is. So yeah, look at that. You guys are doing really, really well. I would like to see your Lucio kind of hover around the Rhine to get your Ana over to here because it's safer for her, and your
I
Reaper
see.
should be playing
Okay.
closer with your Lucio because Reaper, Rhine, and Lucio should be really tight together because that Lucio is going to be speeding those two around because that's a very hardy frontline Reaper Rhine. So he should be kind of speeding them around. And by doing that, Rhine kind of holding here, he's shielding the Ana across. Lucio can speed
Yeah.
that process up.
I didn't realize they had done this in the moment, but it's a really smart rotation from them.
Yeah, it is. Oh, look at that. Yana's sonar, so she's not able to push out. But
Yeah.
oh, there it is. Yeah, look at that. And Reaper literally just walks up, and this is exactly the shit we were talking about, right? Reaper just
Right.
rotates up, takes that high ground back. Like it's a really good place. And you see this hog trying to rotate around, and he gets caught out. Right now, your Reaper's kind of over aggressing here, and your Ryan and Lucio are kind of caught in rotation. I think when they were holding here, it was fine, and Reaper came up to clear high ground. That was fine, and then he should just come back down. because
Okay.
you're missing some, right? You're
Right.
down your Somber, you're still down your Zarya. Um, so they should be looking to kind of hold this corner and not look to aggress just yet. They're holding their ground. They're being aggressive about their positioning, but they shouldn't be looking to advance just yet because they can hold a position, right? Because you put your Rhine Reaper Lucio right here, your Anna's right here. Anna gets a sleep off. Lucio speeds. Rhine just shields up like that, and then your Reaper, your Anna anti, and then a Lucio. This hog is he's not going anywhere, right?
Right.
And so you guys are able to further support your own positioning, and you're denying any type of push from them. But yeah, so again, micro mistakes, but micro fixes. Because now this hog has slept, and you guys don't have any answer.
Yeah.
And here again, we see just some minor overaggression from your Lucio and Reaper. Your Ryan is kind of mid rotation. He's trying to pressure this Ryan, but now he doesn't have the support. He's having you come, but having the actual damage because Reaper or an Ana are going to be needed to kill that hog. Reaper has the pure damage. Ana can take away his sustain, but having both tanks against the hog it's a hard fight. You see,
Yeah. It was really scary. I ran almost
it,
died.
it was it was close actually. I'm gonna watch that from your Ryan's point of view. Yeah, this is a really difficult position to be in. Like he's already half health, no heals, and Hog is full health because he just vaped. Yeah, look how close this gets. Yeah, that was a really really close call. Also, what's up, Kame?
Kame with the hero nade.
Right, really saved the run there actually. Oh, there he gets slapped, and there you see Reaper punishing him out, and that's perfect right there. What we see there is
Right.
we see the hold on security without the actual push through.
So during that sleep, if you look macro, our Lucio is playing left side, and that leaves me as the Zarya alone on the right. When I was watching this back, I was like, wow, they could easily push on me and just kind of
Hmm.
trade there. Um,
Yeah,
how
definitely
would
that.
how would you play
Oh,
that instead? Like, let's assume we still get the Hanzo slept. Like, what
mhm.
what would you do differently there?
I feel like your Lucio and Sombra should like Sombra is fine here, but I do think that your Lucio should be with you here.
Okay, just to
If
speed me
he's not, if
across.
yeah, yeah, he can either speed you across this way, which could be dangerous, or speed you up this way, right?
Okay.
If you guys are wanting to play further back like this, like if at this point you guys are saying, okay, we're gonna kind of give up this choke a little bit, which you guys can do if you want to. I wouldn't recommend it because then you're allowing them
Right.
access to high ground.
I agree.
So I would definitely recommend holding this space here still. But if you guys wanted to give it up, then I would say, take whatever rotation you need to regroup with these guys here. So maybe you have your Lucio come speed you and then you drop down like that. The sleep on the Hanzo was good, but I don't think it was necessarily needed. It always feels nice to land sleeps, but we simply just can't follow up on this because of his positioning. He has all the support in the world, and it's right outside of a choke. So realistically, like we can't do much. We're able to deny this push simply with that sleep. Um, and having the Ryan and Reaper kind of push him, but you see, they're supporting him, right? So they're
Right.
taking up these resources. But you see, Ryan and Reaper deny any further push. So like this right here, this is totally perfect, right? This is what's it's good to see is we see that they just deny that access and then they push out. They don't commit to it. They just hold it. And with Hanzo trying to push our Ana off of high, yeah, she did fine. I probably would have just dropped a different way. If you're up here on high, I would just drop down like that, walk this way, and then play over here. So that's probably what I would do because then if you're playing here as Ana, you can rotate around like that if you need to make a safe rotation. Or if your team is good at backing up, then you can come straight across using this Ryan shield all the way. Because if your Ryan kind of backs up like this and his shield is like this, like if this is his shielding zone, right? If you're here during that initial rotation, you cut in this way, so now you're behind Ryan shield as you rotate back. That'd be another option. But yeah, I would still just put the Lucio over with you. I think that's definitely needed. There we go. And here again, we see another good example of they try to push in one way, and we counter them by aggressing on the other front, right? So you see, I'm gonna wait for it right here. You see, they try and push you guys, so you guys should be backing up, and that's when the Rhine Reaper pushes forward, and that's exactly what they do. And now follow the Shatter up with an anti, and you could use Blossom if you wanted to. I probably wouldn't actually, because they have suck and shit like that. But you could always bubble him if you have bubble. But that's why you guys got to talk about what ult you want to use, right? You could say, all right, we can Shatter Blossom. I'll bubble you for Blossom, shit like that. But yeah, no. See here, you see they're trying to push on you guys, so you guys kind of kite back, and these guys push in, right? That's a super easy repeatable thing. They use Flux, we use a Beat, so that's totally fine. We're using Reaper ult. It works out. I would have liked to see a bubble on the Reaper to keep him up. We nano him though, so he still gets good value. At this point, that fight is over, right?
Yeah. I think I had used the bubble on the Rhine charge.
Oh yeah, you did. That's right. That's right. Which is also a good use for it. I guess that's when it really comes down to communicating if we're going to be
Yeah,
using Blossom or not. Because if we
right.
are, then simply you can't bubble Ryan, for the charge. Normally, you do want to bubble Ryan for his charges so he doesn't get blown up. But if you know you need bubble for Blossom, then you just have to save it.
Okay. Kame, is your mic working? It looks like it.
I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Here you know.
And here again, we see the Reaper holding control room, so that's perfect. We still haven't used EMP, and EMP, we want to be using it almost as soon as we get it, right?
Right.
Like
Well, what
oftentimes you,
also
you
is
get in
worth
you
noting is that he hasn't died yet. And he's just getting EMP at the same time that I'm getting Grav. Oh,
he's
he
dead
died
twice.
twice?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's why I always say to use Seta, because you can see all the information right here.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that makes more sense then.
Yeah. He's died twice. But also another thing is if you look at the damage output, now his healing is actually really good. Or the damage taken isn't too bad. Not healing, sorry, but damage taken isn't too bad. His damage output is a little low, and I'm not trying to call him out on that by any means. Especially because even if you look at their Somber is actually below him. So
Yeah,
uh
fair enough.
doing better than them.
Yeah, it was just kind of moments when I was watching it, like especially at the start, he was right next to the
Mhm.
Widow and he could have
Yeah,
done a lot more poke. He ended up with 9% ult charge when the fight started, and I feel like he could have easily been in like low 20s.
yeah. Normally, I'd say like during that pre-fight, you get up to about 20-25%. Anything above 25% is considered really good.
Right.
Um, but like I know, like in my scrims, by the time the fight actually starts, I'm typically at about 25-30% of my EMP. But the
That's
time the
ideal.
first fight, yeah, that's ideal. By the time that fight ends, I'm normally 80 to 100% on
Right.
EMP.
Right.
And then we looked for EMP next fight. Because I want to use it the second I get it, so I can start building another one. Because one of the biggest things, right, is if we use EMP, right, so say they're at 70% and we have it, right, I use mine. This fight is gonna end. They're not able to really build nearly as much. So now
Yeah.
I'm starting to build. I'm 30% to my next one, and they're just now getting their first one. And if they don't use theirs at the start of the fight, then I might be 50%. So by the time they get theirs off, I'm gonna have my second EMP by the time they have their first, just because of kind of how that
Right.
plays out. Um, and so I can go through after they cap. If you would like, I can go through a little bit of his play. Just focus on him and talk about where he can kind of look to farm some more.
Okay.
Now,
Um,
one thing that I would also like to mention. So you guys are doing your standard positioning, but you scout out that they're running dive tanks here.
right.
This is when you guys should be looking to back up and take this high ground. Actually,
Oh,
like you guys
okay.
just want to stack up here,
So
and
my
you guys can.
my plan there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to share my plan is that when the Winston jumped up onto Juice, the Lucio went with him. I saw an opportunity to grab a 4v6, so I went
Mhm.
for it, and unfortunately, like I just died to latency, and my grab didn't go off. But that was
Uh,
kind of my plan there. Like I just
yeah,
saw
no,
an
I mean,
opportunity for 4v6.
if they're splitting their team like that, if they send half the team here, half the team here, then yeah, just grab them here, and then you guys can push on that. because then these guys are just going to die because they don't have any team support. So yeah, no, I would say that's a good call. So you do that, you grab here, you kill them here, and then you guys push up and take this high ground because they're either gonna
Okay.
die or they're gonna get out, right? But either which way, you're able to take this high ground back. And when they're running dive tanks, you guys can just hold up here.
Okay.
And the reason for that is kind of like, actually, I think we had talked about it before, way back with like just like the Reaper Somber comp that you guys are running, right? But even if you guys have those dive tanks, like that San Francisco Shock versus Philadelphia Fusion game that we showed,
Right. Yep.
even with those dive tanks, and they start up there for that exact same reason. The enemy team has to use their cooldowns in order to take you down from there. Even if you guys are on the Rhine Zarya,
Right.
it's still good because unless they are extremely coordinated at pushing you guys off, you can literally just fight up here. And if you ever need to drop back, you do exactly like you guys have practice and you drop down and rotate back.
Okay.
Um, right, and so
Do you
it's
think
really easy to
as
do that.
Ryan Zarya into Winston Diva, we would take that fight on Juice?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Especially since, like I said, the odds of them being so coordinated, because they would, like, if you guys are up there, right, the diva would have to booster first to DM for the monkey to land. The second monkey is landing, he's dropping his bubble, right? While
Right.
this is happening, the Reaper has to TP up to here and then walk around. The Sombra is cloaked running around here. That is such a hard timing. That's a 4-man timing
Yeah.
that is so hard to do. Oh, and then the Lucio actually has to like do this weird wall run using over here, shit like that. And he has to use his speed to bridge this gap, right? That's a 5-man timing plus the Ononade. That is so hard to do. That's why you see it at the owl level. But even at like my tier, right? Like, right, that shit's so hard to do. Um,
Yeah.
like we would send our Reaper here first. We'd send our Sombra up here. These two would be sitting here. There's a chance that they get spotted out, and then sometimes our monkey might jump a little too early, and the diva's behind, and monkey gets blown up, or the tanks land, and then now Reaper's coming out a second late, but by that time diva's already been hacked, and so she had to drop down. The monkey's dropped down. Now the Reaper's coming in. He gets forced out. It's so hard to get that timing proper, and if you guys have Renzaria, like they're just jumping into your hammer, so it's even easier. Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely say you take that fight on Juice. Also, I wanted just to see how fucking low. Yeah, that's unlucky, but you guys played it really well. Like holding yeah, holding like that, you guys did really really well. I'm really liking the play that I'm seeing over here, controlling security room as well as main. You guys are doing a really good job on that front.
I think
The
Reg
trouble,
really took like that responsibility to heart. Like he
yeah,
really
no,
has a good
definitely.
understanding of that.
He's doing really really well. They're holding main, but he's constantly kind of sitting back here and peeking in to secure this lockdown. But then he's not overcommitting to it. He's still checking main.
Right.
Um, I would like to see Gorba playing more with you. He keeps kind of leaving you, and without that Lucio, you're kind of left out to dry. So it's
Yeah.
really important that he sits with. If he wants to rotate, he has to communicate that so you can go with him,
Okay.
right? Because otherwise, you guys are causing a split, and that's really not a good position to be in.
Yeah.
We also don't really need to be looking for a hack on Lucio. We should be looking for a hack on either tank right here, and that's going to give us a lot more value.
Okay.
Yeah, and see, like right there, you kind of just get caught out because you don't have the speed.
I think I overcommitted a little bit. Maybe used my
A,
bubble too
a,
early too.
yeah, I mean a little bit, and the pathing probably could have been a little bit better because you got booped like into the choke.
Yeah.
But right now this fight is over, right?
Yes. Yeah, and we end up using EMP here, which is like it's big, but
Eh,
there's only 3 people.
yeah, yeah, and on top of that, you're missing literally all of your damage.
Right.
You're Ryan, like actually, just look at the damage charts over here. Ryan, Zarya, Reaper,
Right.
and you're missing all 3 of them.
Did
Right, the
Lucio
top,
has Lucio done more damage than the Sombra? Is that what that is?
yes, but that's actually not that uncommon.
Hmm.
Genuinely, it's not, and there's a good reason for it. But like, because a good Lucio and a good Sombra are normally going to be pretty even.
Okay.
Sombra is normally going to be a little bit ahead, but Reaper is, as you would expect,
Right.
miles ahead. Normally, you see like the Reaper is going to have gold by a mile, and then it's going to be normally, if it's like Diva Winston, or sorry, if it's Diva Winston, you're normally going to see a lot coming from the Diva. Ryan Zarya, you're going to see a little bit more from the Ryan.
Right.
The Ryan and Zarya should probably be a little bit closer together. But that's okay. But yeah, normally you're gonna see Reaper ahead by a mile. The tanks are gonna be pretty close, and Sombra is gonna be kind of close to the tank, but also kind of close to the Lucio.
Hmm.
Because the Lucio is normally going to be the one who's pressuring the Sombra out, right?
Right.
Um, like in a mirror setup, and especially like if the Lucio's playing with in your guys' case, Lucio playing with your Zarya, then you would see those numbers kind of similar, right? Which
Yeah,
they
that makes
are.
sense.
Um, but like if you look over here, like their Reaper is really lacking. Their Diva is their main output, and that was the Zarya, I think. But like you see, like their Reaper's not doing his job properly. Their Sombra is lacking. Their Lucio is lacking. Their Zarya now Diva is really kind of carrying them through this. But you guys are that's a side thing. You guys are missing every source of damage that you have.
Right.
Uh, that one. So we probably should just save DMP.
Yeah, I agree.
Like once we lose, like we lose you, and we should be looking to back up, right? And then we get a pick on Monkey, so
It's
now
it's
we're
it's
even. But
even there, and I think if he EMP'd right there, then I'd be okay with it, because he has
yeah,
it,
no,
and I think
yeah,
that
I
would
I
have
would
been
agree. Like
fine.
an EMP here would have been very very good.
Yeah.
Right, because that's how you can turn this fight because we're on the retreat, right? If we call for an
Right.
EMP re-engage, then that's really easy to do.
And the other
Um,
mistake made here is that, like, by nature of having ringers, like, our Ryan wasn't ready to shield our Reaper out because his shield was broken. And
mhm,
so, like, that was another, like,
yeah.
play that kind of went poorly. And I think just
Mhm.
EMPing sooner fixes all of that, but
Yeah, agreed. On top of that, I do feel like Wright kind of overcommitted to this
overextended, yeah.
corner. Yeah, even though we are talking about like
Because we had a
we want
plan
to back up to
to
here.
shoot him
Yeah,
down
exactly,
there.
exactly. We have the plan for him to rotate to here, and last fight he did that, and then he got 2 kills out of it.
Right, right,
But this time he overstayed his welcome, and he got punished for it.
yeah,
Um, so multiple things, right?
right,
Like you probably shouldn't have died up here, but that's okay. You didn't have your Lucio with you, which makes that harder. You guys had a poor rotation back. You could have used EMP here, but you didn't. And then Wright got caught out because he didn't complete the rotation. So it's multiple things, and uh, at the lower level, it might just be one of these things that needs to change for you guys to
right,
hold this point, right? Maybe if you don't die, or maybe if we do get that EMP, or maybe if he does complete that, then that would save that. The higher up you go, you need to make less mistakes. So that's when you can't die here, but instead you rotate, and then you guys use the EMP here, and then that way you don't even need this back rotation. Or
right,
you save EMP, you guys get a good back rotation, and then Sombra EMPs them here, and then you re-engage that way. Things like that. Um, so the higher up you go, the less mistakes you're gonna make. But that's why we're here, right? And you
right,
guys are getting better every time. Because even though some of the stuff could be better, you guys definitely have a plan, and making these minor changes are so much easier than trying to develop everything on the fly.
right. And one thing that is nice to see is that, like, even though it was a bad EMP, like, his EMPs are getting better as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and,
The,
like,
the
that's something
timing was
I've
off, but the
noticed.
position of it was good, right? It was
Yeah,
a really good
right,
good
right.
EMP spot. It was just the timing that could have been better. Also, our on Pride totally could have won that fight. I'm just kidding.
Wait, what was that?
Oh, over
Wasn't
here,
paying
you,
attention.
you, you're like fucking 1 health, and there's a diva on you. I was like, yeah, Anna totally could have won that fight.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure, my
Actually,
like
best
right here.
bubble.
Well, yeah, 1 health, with just getting DM. You
yeah,
win
I was
that
out.
easy.
Yeah,
You win that
true.
easy. You guys definitely need to get better about having a clean. Oh, okay. I was gonna say you guys need to definitely be better of having a clean reset, so you
Yeah,
guys can all get close spawns, which you do.
and I think that comes in determining when the fight's over.
Mhm. No, we should be looking to set up on top of like general here.
Yeah. One thing that's a bit weird about that is that Jorge uses Translocator to get up there.
Yeah, he
I
probably
don't know
should just
about
take
that
it.
one.
Yeah. Nah, I would have saved it because now he doesn't have it anymore.
Right. He definitely had
Or the
Translate.
second he gets it, if this was me and I for some reason wanted to do that, the second I get it, I'm just gonna fucking yeet it
Eat
this
it,
way
yeah.
to that mega over there.
Right.
That's what I would do. I'd just fucking go like this and yoinkies and just fucking throw it that way, or like throw it over by jail. But I would throw it this way because that's where I want to be playing later, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So I think if you want to pause it here, This fight should have been won because they end up nanoing the monkey before he jumps. He then jumps up on us and then he uses bubble on top of General Store. We get a hack on the Lucio, they get a hack on the Ryan, and we just kind of take the brawl while we have advantage. And I believe their Sombra takes high ground too. So in my mind, we should have won this fight. And I think one of the issues is that I don't get an opportunity to use Grav while waiting. People just
Do it when
kind of
monkey jumps
die.
up.
What's that?
Just do it when monkey jumps up.
Yeah,
So the thing that you have to realize, a lot of ults you can't use in the middle of a fight. It's not going to get the value. Some ults you can't use at the start. It's not going to get value. Visor is
right,
a good example. Soldier's visor. If you use it at the start of a fight, they're just going to walk away, or they're going to shield it, or they're going to DM it, or
right,
whatever. Right? You can't use visor at the start. You use visor halfway through a fight because that's when you secure that fight, or you can flip a fight.
right.
It's the same thing with McCree's High Noon. You never lead off. You never go, all right, let's look to start off with noon here. Like that just doesn't work, right?
Yeah,
You go, okay, let's grab and then noon, right? Things like that. Is visor and noon shit like that you use halfway through a fight. Those are I call them like ult flippers or
clean up.
like secure fights or cleanup ults,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
And
And
like for
then
Grav,
there's
you want to use it
initiating.
early so you can start building ult charge when
Yeah,
you're cleaning up the
literally,
stackers.
you use grav to turn pre-fight into the actual fight. That's how you
I
make that
see.
transition. Is this is all like pre-fight stuff, the poke.
Right.
The second that monkey jumps up, then you just grab him, right? Because unless the diva's DMing him during the jump, you can literally just throw grav right here, and the DM's not going to hit it because it's being sighted by this corner ledge, and then monkey just gets stuck up here, even if he's nanoed, because then you guys just blow him up, right? Then during grab he gets hacked by the Sombra. Ryan can just fucking free swing because nobody else is here. Reaper can just ass blast this monkey, right? He just dies, and now they don't have nano, they don't have their monkey. Now you guys drop on them because the only other person who can really contest you is this diva here, and she's not going to be able to do that by herself. So you guys literally just drop onto this overhang that she's standing on, force her down to low ground, and then you just wipe the team that way.
Hmm.
But you need to initiate with that grab because you don't have shatter. Normally, like shatter and grab are both initiating fights, right? You
Yeah,
wait for monkey to place bubble, you break bubble, shatter,
right.
right? So that the pre-fight plan is get monkey to use bubble. The second the bubble's gone, you shatter. Boom. That's what turns pre-fight into the fight is the shatter. Same thing with grab, right? You wait for monkey to jump, call diva DM, we go.
Okay.
Diva no DM, grabbing, something like that, right? So let's go and see what happens here. Also, I would save hack for the fight engage. But like right here, yeah. So you guys are dropping down. I would have stayed on high,
Okay.
only because you know that the monkey and diva wants to go up. If they just kept pushing cart, that'd be a different story. And the timing on this is a little hard.
Yeah.
But also, we don't really need to be hacking their Lucio. We need to be hacking like the diva, because the diva is the one. Because again, our main damage is going to come from Ryan, and Zarya. But the biggest one, and you can even see it here,
Just
is the
right there.
Reaper. Reaper has almost double the next highest.
Right.
So we need to enable our
Hacking the
Reaper.
diva prevents
E-
DM, gives him more damage too.
exactly, exactly. It takes away that DM, and that means we can really blow up whoever we want. Right. And
Right.
you can see it right here. The diva is DMing the person who just got hacked.
Yeah.
Well, if Diva's the one who's hacked, no DM.
Right. And I think our
Because
target
yeah,
focus here is just a bit too spread.
yeah, because I see Rhinus charging this way. I see Lucio shooting this way. I see our Reaper going this way. Zarya's looking this way. Sombra's looking this way.
Yeah.
These arrows look really confusing because it is really confusing.
Yeah.
What you should see is you should see something like this.
Right. And like the
That's
way I should see this screenshot is that we have the advantage. They wasted jump. They're about to waste
mhm,
bubble. They wasted nano. They wasted
yeah,
hack. Like they put it on
mhm,
Orion, which I guess is okay, but he's just gonna swing in this situation. So like
yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like
He's not really shielding much.
from this screenshot we should win this fight, and we don't.
Yeah, yeah, but like here I turn this on. Look at the way your
Yeah.
arrows are facing.
Yeah.
Right, we've got like again, you guys have a brawl comp, so you need to focus your fire.
Right.
But we have we have angles every which way. We've got this angle and this angle and this angle and this angle, this angle and this angle. Like
There's only one
I
person
can,
actually looking at someone.
yeah, right.
It's Jorge.
Like the yeah. Well, there's also the Lucio looking at the
Oh
Ana,
yeah, yeah.
and then yeah, Jorge looking at the person who's hacked, which is good. But like everybody's looking at somebody different.
Right.
Quite literally, actually, everybody's looking at somebody different.
Yeah.
Um, and that's problematic. And actually, if you look at them, they are similar, but a little bit more organized, right? You see
Yeah.
the monkey and the Sombra kind of facing the same way. I don't know if Sombra's shooting at your Moira or your Sombra. I don't really
She's
know.
hacking the Rhine, so
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I just see this everyone like
yeah.
that, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, and then you see like he's facing this way, he's facing this way. Reaper, I don't even know what Reaper's doing, but like they're doing a little bit better. They're also not doing great, but if you guys are able to shape this up, then it doesn't
Right.
matter how bad they are at doing it because you're just gonna roll over them like that. But yeah, so I would agree. Target focus is a little bit off, but that's as simple as following the right targets. It's also a matter of knowing the right targets, like the diva.
Right.
Um, and also, you should be using grab often because you
Yeah.
can build grab every fight off of this diva mech,
Right.
right? Because if you guys are on low ground, basically this diva is getting hacked. You're just beaming her.
Yeah.
Reaper's just shooting at her. She's an ult battery for you. That's what she should be.
Right.
Yeah, you guys really should win this fight here.
Oh, I didn't fade there. Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, you guys definitely should have won that fight, but we still have grab, and now we have shatter. And one of the things is, grab and shatter, you're supposed to build one off the other. If you
Right.
grab, Ryan fire strikes into the grab, that's like half his fucking ult,
Yeah.
right? And then he shatters, and he shatters this fucking the diva and the monkey on low ground, and you beam the diva down because she's gonna be hacked, and then you build your grab off of his shatter. But if you guys have it at the same time, then you're losing that value.
Right.
Right, because basically, when one person uses their ult, if you grabbed that fight, then your Ryan would have built his shatter off of the grab, and then he's looking to shatter next fight, right? And yes, he did build it anyways, right? But he's shattering next fight, and now you're going to be halfway to your grab, and then so really, it's like you grab, shatter, empty fight, no ults.
Right.
Grab, shatter, empty fight, no ults. Because you get grab, you use grab to build shatter, you use shatter, you get halfway to your grab here, and so you use it next fight, and then Ryan is going to be halfway to shatter, but he builds shatter off the grab, and then again it's that empty fight again. Now in between those empty fights, that's when you use like support ults. That's when you would use like Miracle, or you would use like Blossom or shit like
Right.
that, right? Um, but like just between the two tanks, you guys should have ults 2 out of 3 fights. But right now you're not really gonna have that. And yeah, you guys should have won that fight. You could have dropped the point sooner. You could have waited for the monkey to engage on you and just kill
Yeah.
him. You had multiple options, but you guys you weren't hard set on anything. No, it's very important here. They're running they're running dive tanks, so you guys
Right.
need to play under them or somehow force them off.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't just be like out in the open. So we'll see what you guys do.
Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but our Lucio is hiding for EMP, which I think is actually pretty good.
That is good. I would say that's worth it. Um, yeah, no, I think that's perfect.
And then
Absolutely. I
from
would say,
here,
yeah,
it's like
that's
this
the
fight's
perfect play.
winnable, and I die again.
And you still haven't used grab.
Yeah.
And this isn't me trying to like knock on you. Like I'm
No,
not trying to like
I've
single you out,
already I've already watched this and scolded myself for that. But
but yeah,
yeah,
we should be looking to use our ults here.
yeah,
And again, we should be looking to engage the fight with these ults. Because honestly, something you could do here, right? Diva's on low ground where
grab
you
high
are,
ground.
grab here, and then just push on them.
Yeah,
So now they can't drop, right? And that's their Reaper and their Monkey. And I know I said those backwards, but you get the idea. But that's their Reaper and Monkey up there. So that's what should be their damage and their front line gone. Right. So
Right.
you grab them, the Sombra should be hacking this Diva here, and you guys just rush onto them. I don't know what your Reaper's doing over here. He should be with you guys, but that's a different thing too. Reaper should definitely be with you guys. Or grab it here and then push onto the monkey.
Yeah.
Or grab here when they jump in. Now, granted, they EMP'd you, but you guys held your ults until they just engaged on you.
Right.
You're saying like, hey, we're just gonna hang out, chill, do whatever. We're gonna relax. You guys can do what you want when you want. We'll wait for it. But you see, they're engaging the fight with ults, and that's when you see like they're kind of positioning around. They're setting stuff up, and then that's all pre-fight. Once they use that EMP, now this fight has started, right? And now you guys are using ults, but you're using ults reactively,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is they don't have beat. So if we started off with a grab Death Blossom, grab them on high ground, hack this Diva on low ground, and just Blossom on point, that would have been fine. Or TP the Reaper up top, you throw the grab there, he blossoms up top while Sombra hacks the Diva down here, and then Zarya and Sombra are gonna farm this Diva, and they don't have anything to live up on high ground. They're just gonna die there. Either which way, they're reacting to you guys, and if you guys do, if you get half value out of any of those, right, even if you just kill Monkey, you know they're not going to be able to push you because Monkey has primal, or they use primal, and now he's reacting, he's using his ult to
Right.
survive you, so now he's not able to use it to sustain later in the fight. um Things like that, like you need to be more proactive about using your ults.
Yeah, I think a
um
lot of that comes down to fight planning, because like
yeah,
most of this engage was just me saying, like, thinking, do we go left door? Do we go right door? Okay, we have the time to go right door, so we should go right door. Then we did.
actually, I would go left here personally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because again, we don't want to be playing out in the open, and so we want to close the gap to them. So we kind of want to be playing under them, right? And so we want to be playing around this area, and so it's either this space to travel or it's like this space to travel.
I see.
So it's pretty even, but this has some cover here, and then there's like
Yeah, that makes
jail and stuff
sense.
like that. So I would have gone out left because that way we can kind of rush onto them that way. But yeah.
Um, but yeah, basically while I was making that decision, I didn't have a plan. I just kind of knew like I need to grab. It's been 2 fights now, 3 fights that I've had grab and not been able to use it.
hmm No, I yell at my team if I go one fight without using EMP. I go, I'm going to use EMP next fight. I've been holding onto it for too long. No, like genuinely, like that's the thing. I tell my team, hey, I'm grabbing next fight. I've been holding onto it for too long.
Yeah. I wanted to grab there, but people were saying we were down too many, so I started backing up and then I died.
Yeah, I mean, we are
And
kind
I
of
think
we're
like,
staggering right now.
yeah, and like I said, like third point was a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, it started out with a really big stagger, and you guys just haven't actually gotten your footing together. You're always down one or two right now,
Right.
and so you're just constantly having to back up because you don't have numbers. If you guys are staggering, then you just need to make a call, like hard reset, and you literally just kind of like what your Ryan is doing. You guys just fucking wait out here, wait until you have six, and then re-engage.
Right.
And yeah, you're giving up space, but it's better than staggering throughout the entire point. I'd rather
Right.
have one late fight than have no good fights because we're just staggered. Total side thing for Jorge here. Um, Off angling on Sombra is really, really good, but start the fight with your team and then off angle. If you start on an off angle, it's too easy to pressure you out. If you start with your team and then rotate, it's much more effective.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so that's one side thing. Other side thing, just focus your hacks on the diva. If they have a diva and you have a reaper, just hack the diva. If they don't have a diva, it's almost always going to be the off tank because the
Yeah.
off tank is the one who keeps the main tank alive. Almost always, right? If it's Ryan Zarya and you hack the Zarya has no bubbles.
Right.
Simple as that. If you can't get it off on the off tank, then the main tank is your next best option. But you're almost always going to be hacking the tanks.
Yeah.
Almost always. The other thing is if they have a high utility player like a May is also going to be good value, but that's
Or
third. That's
Doom.
third case. Yeah, or a Doom, something like that. That's like the third value. First thing is off tank. Second thing is normally the main tank. Third thing is a utility player. Um, but yeah, so like that's priority one. If Diva's already dead, then you look for Monkey. If Monkey's already dead, then you would look for Doom, as an example. But yeah, and that's also how you're gonna farm your EMP. You start with your team. You're shooting at them. You make an off angle. You hack the Diva. You shoot at her, and then you build your EMP that way. Yeah, no, honestly, I think it still just comes down to you guys are using your ults reactively instead of proactively. You're scared
Yeah,
to engage with them. Um, And so I'd say just be more confident with your ults, be more aggressive with them, and just be a lot more disciplined on fight endings so you can do
yeah.
proper regroup.
I think a lot of the issue that I'm having personally, and it's like you can see it bleeding out into the team, is that I feel like I don't have enough time to come up with these plans because I'm all tracking, pathing for us, coming up with the fight
Mhm,
plans, and like for second point, like we held General Store, which was good.
mhm.
But then we went to like the hay bale, which I
Yeah,
think was kind of a bad call because we didn't
yeah,
really have a lot of crossfire angles. Like, we made it
mhm,
work and we got lucky because we had a really good beat um,
yeah,
from
yeah.
Corvo,
But you're working harder than you need to, type of
right?
thing.
And so like
Yeah.
we're not, I'm not getting opportunities, or maybe I'm not giving myself opportunities to come up with a fight plan.
Well, that's why it's also, like going over those comm structures. That's why it's not just up to one person to do all the comms, right?
Right.
Because, and I think I've shown you guys some of my like
Mm-hmm.
the comms, and actually like even in that huge meta talk, and I forgot to stop the recording at the end, and it just went
Yeah,
into
and
my scrim.
Oasis. Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like you can even hear the comms there. Like the fight plan is as simple as like, all right, wait for Zen to rotate left. I'm gonna slam mines, and we follow up with Brig Rally, and that's it.
Right,
And then they used trans, and so I said, hey, I can follow. I'm gonna follow trans with visor, and so I just used it.
right,
Things like that. But like you can hear those columns of like really you just do the ult tracking, right? So fight's over. Here's what they have. Here's what we have. We use these and these.
right.
When like we use this, we use it in choke. We use it after monkey jump. We use
Yeah.
it after diva DM, and
And
then
like
yeah.
part of the issue is that if we're not calling when fight's over, like it's just shortening the amount of time that I
No,
have
exactly, exactly, and
for
that's
that.
why like it's all off the fight end, and that's why like
Right,
that's a really important role because like calling fight over is that's what starts everything else.
right,
Everything is built off of that. So if this comes late, then you're cutting into this time here. Um, and that's
right,
why oftentimes, like even in my scrims, you'll see like we call the fight is over before it's even over. We'll be actively fighting, and we start calming, right?
right.
Because like that's like that cleanup phase. We start calling it in cleanup phase,
Yeah, that's
right?
something that I should get used to, I guess.
Yeah, because like the sooner you can start it, the more time you have, right? But
Right,
like if we can watch through this first fight here, right? This fight is over. I don't even know what's happening, but this fight is over. You're
right.
down both supports, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would call fight over, reset. What else do they have? Like by this point right here, you guys should be calling what else they have,
Right,
or what they're coming up to, right? Now, obviously, it's just first fight, but if Reaper went and killed 4 people, he might be close to Blossom. They might
right.
be right here. You see, okay, they're probably close to Bomb, Diva Bomb, right? Because Diva did a lot, something like that, right? So you can look for those. So you go, okay, all right, watch for Diva Bomb. Now you guys are looking for next fight. I'm just gonna skip ahead to next fight.
I think when they use
All right,
call,
this
we should
fight's
call.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah, this fight's over. All right, so what are they gonna have? What are they gonna what are they gonna have? Right. So, like, hang on. Honestly, it's we lose our blade and then Diva gets demeched. After the demech, that's when like this fight is looking over. right? Because we have Moira back at point, no fade,
Yeah.
so she can get out, right? She's going to die. It's just a matter of when. So she's gonna die. Our Diva got or DMAX, so she's gonna die. So this fight's over right here. Fight end. Like lost fight, reset. Reset here. What are they gonna have? Right. So that's what we're looking for. So at this point, we should be calming. This is what they're gonna have. They're gonna have bomb. They're gonna have EMP. They're using coal, so no coal. They're gonna be close to Blossom. They're gonna be close to Primal. So what are we gonna use? Okay, so like we end up using coal here, but that's fine, right? So I'm gonna just let this go out, and we'll see once this fight is fully over. Okay, fight's fully over. So we're gonna call. All right, they used coal. They used beat. They're gonna have everything else. Okay, like that's what I would call. They use
Right.
cold, they use beat. They're gonna have 4 ults. We're close to beat. We have primal, so we're kind of going into this in a really hard situation. They have huge ult economy over us, so we have to figure out. Okay, so maybe we just dry fight this, right? Maybe we try to wrap through security, go around, take cafe, dry fight, get ults out of them. Save ults. We use primal to get EMP out, maybe.
Hmm.
Primal for bomb, stuff like that. We need to find some way of closing that ult economy gap that we have. But that's when those comps start. You see, like
Right.
look how early that is, and like if I were to do this live, let's see how much time we would have. All right, I gotta back up a little more. So I'm gonna go off if Diva gets DM'd, right? Because that's when that fight is basically over, right? Or fades in. Diva gets DM'd. All right, so this is when like all right, fight lost. They use cold. They use beat. They're gonna have EMP, Blossom, Bomb. They're gonna have Monkey ults. We have Monkey. We almost have beat. Let's dry fight. We can wrap around through Cafe. Try to use Monkey ult to burn out EMP or Bomb. Look at that. The entire thing was just made by me. Granted, I have obviously the
Right.
spectator perspective to do it, but it's as simple as they've only used beat and Cole, so
Yeah.
they're going. I'm going to assume that they have everything else by this point because it's 2 fights in, um, and so it's enough time for them to build most of their ults. So I just did all of those comms, and the fight just now ended. So we of course I already know what I'm talking about. We already talked about this, so
Yeah.
it was really me just reciting it. But you see all of this, like we've already made the plan, and there's
Hmm.
all this free time. Now, I don't expect you to be able to, recognize it that fast, but you have all this time to do that, right? Because like I had finished it. Um, I'd finished the comms about when this tracer dies, right? I think I finished. Oh, she actually gets out for now. But so I'm pretty sure, confidently, I finished the comms about this point, right? So that's 218. I'll just say 215 for easy numbers. There we go. So it's about 30 seconds later, which is a long time.
Right. I agree.
So and that's on top of the time from the actual end of fight, right? So I had end of fight finish comms. 30 seconds after I finish comms is when the next fight is just about to start. So that's a lot of time for you guys to go through all your comms if
Hmm.
you're disciplined with calling the end of fight.
Yeah.
If you're not disciplined with calling the end of fight, then you only have 30 seconds.
Right.
Which is it's going to be harder to do that. But if you call it a little bit early, it helps prevent staggers, and like late deaths. Because if you call that the fight is over when you lose 2 people, then the people who can get out are going to get out. The people who can't get out are just going to die. That way the fight ends sooner, and the calms start sooner, and so that way the fights just happen more, right? And so instead of it being a longer lost fight, you're able to get in 1 or 2 extra fights that are better quality. But again, you see, they're ulting on you guys first, and that's just like a repeat from earlier. But that's okay though, because we know that they had ult advantage. So now they used all their ults. I would probably say they're close to Cole. They have bomb and primal. I would say that they're close to Cole because that's just what I would say. And by the time this fight actually starts, they
Yeah.
probably will have it. So we're leveling that out a little bit, so that's good. But we still don't have any ults of our own, so that's a different thing. That's a matter. We need to work on building ults faster, but that's more of a micromanaged thing, and we can focus on that like on another day of like how to build ult economy. But I don't want to do too much at once. You know,
Yeah.
that's a good ball.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you guys end up cleaning. That's I'm probably gonna go and call it here, and mainly because it's been about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Even though I know that we still have a little more to go through, but I've got some other stuff that I also gotta take
So
care
do
of and
I.
do.
My class actually started.
Oh shit! Sorry about that.
No
But
worries. It's good info. Yeah, so
yeah,
I think my main takeaway is really like working on positioning for spam, and then fight planning will just kind of come easier if we're able to say the fight's over when the fight's
yeah,
over.
yeah, definitely. I think it's a comms thing and positioning thing, and then that's what I would like you guys to focus on
Yeah,
in these upcoming games.
cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your time, guys.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
All right, thanks.